How's it going, everybody? RazingHel here, and today we are going to be going over in detail the 5 most common ways of reviving players in Don't Starve Together. This list is going to be in the same order you're most likely to encounter these methods of revival in game. And please do remember that this is a list for Don't Starve Together and not Don't Starve, as both games have slightly different revival systems. To get started with, we're going to be talking about the Telltale Heart. Now, the Telltale Heart can be found in the Survival Crafting tab, and to craft it, you're going to need 3 grass, 1 spider gland, and over 40 health for your character. So as you can see here, the Telltale Heart has a fairly low barrier to entry, but this comes with a few drawbacks. Firstly, it takes another player to revive you, so if you're playing by yourself, this is obviously out of the picture if you are a ghost character now looking to be revived. In addition to this, any player that is revived using a Telltale Heart will have their maximum health decreased by 25% up to a maximum of 75%. This means that if you die 3 times in a row, your overall health will be capped at 25% of what your normal full health would be. But if you die additional times to that, your health cap will not drop further, because obviously you would get into a ridiculous situation where you would no longer be able to be revived because your health cap would drop so low. So there's a max of 75% reduction to your health cap, and basically, for those who aren't aware of what a health cap does, this is going to prevent you from gaining more health than what your health cap is at. So if your health cap is 150, like Wilson's would be, and you died twice, your new health cap would be at 75, and to increase this back up to 150, you would need 2 individual booster shots, which is another survival item that you would have to craft and then apply to yourself. So as you can see here, while the Telltale Heart is most certainly accessible and readily renewable, it does require additional players, and there is a significant penalty associated with using it. Okay, the next form of resurrection that most players will likely encounter is called a Touchstone. And Touchstones differ in Don't Starve Together from in Don't Starve Single Player. For one thing, in Don't Starve Together, you do not have to touch these beforehand to actually activate them. They are always active, and when you die as a ghost, all you have to do is find one and then haunt it. Once it's haunted, you will be resurrected, providing you hadn't previously haunted that Touchstone, and then you will be able to continue on. There are no penalties involved with using the Touchstone. However, it is a single use per character per Touchstone, and there will be a slight regeneration period in between character resurrections. So for example, if you have the majority of an entire team wiped out and you all move over towards a Touchstone to revive, 1 player at a time will be able to revive until all of that entire team has been revived, providing of course that none of them had revived there previously, but there will be that slight delay in between each player being able to revive there. And of course, once all of those players have revived there, they simply won't be able to use that Touchstone again. So Touchstones are a bit of a freebie from the game. They work slightly differently, as I entailed here, for Don't Starve Together than they did in Don't Starve Single Player. So the next method of resurrection we're going to be looking at here is called the Meat Effigy. We're getting a little bit more advanced now, and the Meat Effigy is going to be found in the Magic tab and requires at least a Tier 1 Magic prototyping device to be able to prototype this initially. The recipe itself requires 4 boards, over 40 health available from the player, and 4 beard hair. Obviously, beard hair is probably going to be one of the major holdups for a lot of players to being able to build this, but luckily enough, Wilson can shave his beard to get access to that beard hair, or access it even more simply through regular rabbits or bunnymen killed while you are insane. Now, the Meat Effigy also performs differently in Don't Starve Together compared to Single Player Don't Starve. In Single Player Don't Starve, it actually hits your maximum health cap. This is not the case anymore in Don't Starve Together, as the health is deducted up front, but you're able to replenish that all the way up to your normal health cap. Meat Effigies in Don't Starve Together also require you to attune them, and this is when that initial cost to your health is applied. So think of it this way: even if player 1 builds a Meat Effigy, they will immediately attune to that Meat Effigy for the cost of 40 health, but another player can come along and touch that Meat Effigy as well, and also attune to it for a cost of 40 health on their side. Now you might be wondering, if both players died, who'd actually get to revive using the Meat Effigy? And the answer to that is both, technically. Whoever uses it first will be able to use it. So in other words, if player 1 and player 2 both die, and then player 2, who also attunes attuned to it. Obviously, player 1 built it, but player 2 also attuned to it. If player 2 goes ahead and revives using the meat effigy, player 1 will no longer be able to use that meat effigy. They will have to find something else to be revived with. Meat effigies also do not resurrect a player automatically, and you cannot be resurrected by one by haunting it, which means that obviously if you have not previously attuned to that meat effigy, you will not be able to ever access it. For those who have attuned to the meat effigy, it's used simply by clicking an icon that appears in the upper right corner when you have died, and clicking on it allows you to be resurrected at the meat effigy. This can obviously come in quite handy as you can have vital supplies located around the meat effigy, and it can also allow you to sort of teleport out of a dangerous situation and into a more secure location to recover. Obviously, there are downsides to the meat effigy, especially on larger teams when basically anybody can come along and attune to your meat effigy and then use it without you necessarily being aware of which meat effigy you used. But by and large, its presence in Don't Starve Together is much more useful than it was in Don't Starve single player. Let's move on to the life-giving amulet, probably one of the crowd favorites. The life-giving amulet can also be found in the magic tab, and once again, much like the meat effigy, only requires a prototyping station of tier 1 or higher. So you do not actually need the shadow manipulator to craft this one either. It requires, though, 3 gold nuggets, 2 nightmare fuel, and a red gem, which might be a slight barrier to entry, at least in the very early parts of the game. Now, like all of the other items that I mentioned here, the life-giving amulet also performs differently in Don't Starve Together as opposed to the single player version of the game. In Don't Starve Together, it is not recommended to bother wearing the life-giving amulet, as you can easily revive yourself simply by haunting it after you die. The obvious downside to wearing it is the fact that it will heal you over time, which removes its durability, and if you're not paying attention, will ultimately cause the amulet to be consumed and disappear, giving you far little in return for what it cost you to craft it. However, there are some notable benefits here. This is an item you can bring along with you, which allows you to resurrect yourself in the same location that you dropped your inventory in, which would allow you to easily retrieve it. And the other positive to this is that you can be used in conjunction with a meat effigy to give you a little bit more flexibility in terms of whether you would like to stay and recover your items using the life-giving amulet, or if you feel it's too dangerous there and would like to teleport back to your base. Much like the meat effigy, the life-giving amulet does not penalize the player in terms of a health cap, and unlike the meat effigy, there is actually no upfront cost to your health to build it. Life-giving amulets also do not require you to attune to them and can be used by pretty much anybody or by one person. This makes the life-giving amulet very useful for both people playing alone or on a server with multiple other people. As the game wears on, it becomes easier and easier to stockpile these amulets. So the last item capable of resurrecting you is sort of a bonus mention here in terms of this video, because it certainly does not apply to every single server that you will play on, and by and large it will be the exception to the rule that you will be able to do this. But the florid postern is capable of resurrecting players much like a telltale heart in Don't Starve Together servers that are set to the endless mode. This makes the florid postern much similar to a renewable touchstone, with the downside of having your maximum health capped by 25% each time you use it, up to a maximum of 75%, much like the Telltale Heart. However, unlike the Telltale Heart, players can use this while playing solo to get themselves back in the game if they're having a hard time getting started and have run out of touchstones and have not acquired the items to revive themselves by other means. Much like with the Telltale Heart, the health cap penalty experienced can be removed using booster shots. So those are the 5 most popular ways of reviving players in Don't Starve Together, as well as the perks and drawbacks to each. All of the methods listed are available in the base game of Don't Starve Together and do not require any mods or console commands to access. Now let me know in the comments below what you use most frequently to resurrect yourself or your team. Otherwise, thank you very much for watching as always, and I hope to see you next time.